In Serbia, students are not just marching. They are fighting for core principles of democracy and rule of law. Sparked by a deadly infrastructure collapse, blamed on corruption and lack of oversight, the rallies at first were simple vigils for 16 lives lost after a canopy fell at a newly renovated railway station. The leaderless student movement quickly adopted a symbol of a bloody hand, which represents the government's alleged culpability and a tragedy. After their demands for release of full documentation of the railway station reconstruction and criminal proceedings against top-ranking officials, they blocked all state universities in the Balkan country. They have continued to hold daily 16-minute morning sessions, a minute per every victim, by blocking traffic intersections across Serbia. However, several high-ranking ruling party officials attacked the students during one of the vigils, and protesters were routinely ran over during the blockades. The violence escalated in a city where tragedy took place, when ruling party activists stormed out of their headquarters and physically attacked a female student, breaking her jaw. The mass public outrage claimed the top scalp in the government.
Nakon ovog događaja, sinoć u Novom Sadu, moja neopoziva odluka da podnesem ostavku na mesto predsjednika Vlade Republike Srbije.
However, resignation without criminal proceedings was clearly not enough. The students set out on a bike journey towards Strasbourg, France, where the European Parliament meets, in order to draw attention to their months-long protests against corruption in the EU candidate country. During their 1,400-kilometer journey through Central Europe, they were greeted in every major town.
People are honking their car horns, waving at us, and I do believe that they got the message that came from Serbia and are pretty much aware of the situation.
Locals in European towns roll out red carpets for them.
In Serbien passiert ist wirklich so unglaublich. Aber wirklich unglaublich. Die Korruption kann so beeinflussen, dass die 16 Leute verstorben sind. Das ist nur diese Aktion jetzt. Das passiert seit Jahrzehnten in Serbien. Ich bin einer, die meine Heimat verlassen hatte, deswegen.
In Serbia, unbelievable events were still happening. The police barred members of the local city council to vote on a new mayor of the city of Novi Sad.
Mi ovo nikada nismo doživjeli, da odbornici koji su izabrani od strane građana, nas policija i žandarmerija ne pušta da uđemo u Skupštinu.
Ovo je katastrofa, ovo je smrt demokratije.
Ovo sad prerasta u diktaturu.
Events like these galvanized the public, so ruling party officials throughout Serbia had eggs hitting them everywhere they went.
Evo, upravo su počeli da izlaze pristalice Srpske napredne stranke. Evo vidite kako su okružili gradonačelnika Predraga Terzića i
Napad na gradonačelnika Radoslava Pavlovića je slika i prilika njihove obojene revolucije.
Colored revolution, a phrase originally coined by Russia to denounce all pro-democracy protests, quickly became the ruling party's catchphrase, and the public anger turned on Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić.
Kad hoćete te izbore, nikakav problem.
The government hasn't called for new elections, but simply reshuffled seats. The students, on the other hand, shuffled through major cities, holding massive rallies. The culmination came mid-March, in the undoubtedly biggest protest Serbia has ever seen. Estimated 500,000 people gathered in capital Belgrade.
Njihovi izgledi su vrlo pametni i suvisli, jer se bore da na neki način kroz to da se razreši slučaj nastrešnice, razreši se ovo način na koji živimo uopšte u ovoj državi u posljednjih par decenija.
Samo da znaju da mogu biti smenjeni, da možemo da računamo da će biti fair i pošteni i izbori i generalno život i da živimo bolje i dostojanstvenije.
While the demonstrators were holding a 16-minute vigil and whole Belgrade was dead quiet, something loud broke the silence. Over 3,000 demonstrators reported hearing a paralyzing sound, similar to jet engine or a high-speed train. Experts were unanimous. Sound was used to disperse a peaceful demonstration. The authorities brushed it off.
Nikada na našem stanovništvu upotrebili nismo. Nikada.
Serbian authorities claim that they do not even possess sonic weapons, but one of them, mounted on a police vehicle, was photographed outside Serbia's parliament, close to where the demonstrators reported the blast. Serbians then learned something new about their state arsenal.
Ovo se ne vodi kao sredstvo, kao oružje, ili ono nije upisano kod nas kao oružje. Tako da svako ko bi to koristio i zloupotrebljavao, a naši ljudi se nisu ni obučavali za tako nešto, niti znaju šta bi mogli da puste da bi nekome nešto naudili. Što se tiče zvuka, koriste samo za upozorenje da se raziđu demonstranti. Ali ni to nije korisno.
But not everyone bought that explanation. The European Court of Human Rights has issued an interim measure ordering Belgrade to refrain until further notice from using sonic devices for the purpose of controlling assembled citizens. United Nations experts underlined that independent probe is a must.
Serbian authorities, despite denying this, really need to investigate what caused this response by the crowds at those protests. It's not enough to simply say it wasn't us. I think there are still questions to be answered there, as we know that the Serbian authorities have actually in their possession, according to their own information, such sound weapons.
Serbia hasn't called for an independent investigation, but instead hired Russian intelligence service FSB to conduct one.
Oni su konstatovali, na osnovu dobijenih rezultata može se doneti kategorički zaključak da akustični uređaji tipa emitera, pa sad svi ovi nabrojani, koje posjeduju policijski organi Srbije nisu primenjeni tokom protesta. To je zaključak.
The conclusion was only a new beginning. In April, Serbian president called his supporters to show up in large numbers in a pro-government rally in Belgrade. The numbers didn't come close to the student-led gathering, but for Vučić, it was a shiny moment nonetheless.
Završeno je sa njihovom obojenom revolucijom. Mogu da se šetkaju koliko god hoće. Nema ništa od toga.
But some ruling party supporters stayed in the camp months after the rally. Regime supporters, including former paramilitary fighters, camped out in a park outside the presidential palace, denying the public and independent media to see what is happening behind bars of a newly barricaded park. The police claimed that everyone can pass.
Ne, mi nemamo takve informacije o javnim prostorima.
But law is seemingly a flexible term when it comes to ruling party paramilitia.
Sada smo dobili informaciju od policije da je ovo javna površina i da možemo da prođemo kao građani.
Ne znam koji tvoj deo nije jasno, šta ti nije jasno?
Čiji je ovo?
Sam ti rekao gore da ne možeš da uđeš.
Čiji je Pionirski park?
Naš.
Vaš? Da. Ja sam građanin Republike Srbije, ovaj park je i moj. Molim vas, pustite nas.
After tensions rose high in Serbian society, the students called for one-day general strike. Not even that made the government meet their demands. So they decided, enough is enough.
Postoji jedan način da se dođe do reforme I ispunjenja zahteva. Radničkih, studentskih, opštenarodnih. To je raspisivanje vanrednih parlamentarnih izbora u najkraćem mogućem roku.
During Vučić's party 13-year grip on power, snap parliamentary elections were held 4 times. Every time that the government felt threatened. This time around, Serbian president opted not to call for a vote. First time he decided not to do so.
Izbora će biti u narednih godinu I po dana, u trenutku kada nadležne institucije budu donele odluke o tome, a ne nenadležne organizacije, ne oni koji nikakve prerogative vlasti da o tome odlučuju nemaju.
After embracing Russia's narrative on so-called color revolution, Serbia's regime took another leaf from Vladimir Putin's textbook, calling his opponents Nazi, without providing any proof of links with far-right organizations. In the height of the crisis, Aleksandar Vučić was among rare European leaders who met with Putin himself.
Ценим, что в столь знаменательный день 80-летия Великой Победы вы с нами в Москве принимаете личное участие в торжественных юбилейных мероприятиях. Хотя знаю, что вас пытались отговаривать, да и проблемы определенные создавали логистические, но тем не менее вы здесь с нами, и мы это высоко ценим.
Serbia has been walking a tightrope between East and West for years, counting on cheap Russian gas and political support, while trading with the European Union and also milking the bloc's funds. It seems that the EU decided it was time that Belgrade makes up its mind.
Serbia faces a strategic geostrategic choice where it wants to be. Serbia's European future depends on the values it chooses to uphold.
Russian values against dissent are globally infamous. Lately, Serbian police has started to violently disperse students.
Prekomerna upotreba sile, policija upotrebljava pendreke I tuče okupljene građane I studente.
After 7 months of demonstrations, Serbia's ruling party faced a challenge in local elections in 2 small towns. The entire state machinery was used to pave fresh roads, and many locals admitted of taking money to vote for the ruling party. When independent media tried to see what is going on, they were physically attacked. Ruling party won the elections, but despite accusations of election fraud, the side that usually wins by a landslide took narrow wins. Critics said that even Vučić's celebration seemed a bit sour.
Uspeli smo da pobedimo zato što je narod izabrao državu. Zato što je narod rekao, ne damo vam da nam srušite Srbiju. Možete da vičete, možete da pretite, možete da nas tučete, možete da zauzimate kafiće, trgove, ulice. Kada dođemo iza paravana, mi glasamo za svoju Srbiju.
A može on da tvrdi šta god hoće, iz Kosjerića je krenulo I ode ovo dalje prijatelju I tako je to.
Students are still calling for parliamentary elections, naming the president a coward for not having the courage to announce the vote. Miodrag Sovilj, N1, Belgrade.